I already recorded this once before, but ironically the audio gear wasn't working properly. Turns out it was just a dodgy cable. Before this video starts, I want to give a massive shout out to my cousin Mayla, who makes these awesome clothes. She lent me her camera just so that I could shoot this video and an upcoming project, which is kind of a bit under NDA right now, but I'll talk to you about it later. Please go check out our Instagram, show us some love, give us some fail tech or OG fail tech love, and leave a comment. That would be super awesome. Anyway, as you would expect, shooting for 3 different things, Flat 4K, Brian Thomas and Android Authority, it does take a decent amount of gear to get all that sorted, especially as this is my full-time job now. There are 3 main ways you can do this. You can take a really expensive camera and put some cheaper bits on it, or you can take a cheap camera, which is what I've done, and put some more expensive bits on it. There is a third way. You can just have expensive everything, but I don't have that kind of money, and I don't expect you guys would have that kind of money either, if you're watching this channel at least. So what I thought I'd do is I'd show you my gear, show you everything I've got, what I use, and maybe inspire you to go and get your own gear and start your YouTube channel, or if you're just interested in seeing what I have. So what better place to start than the camera? I use a Sony a6300, which is a pretty low-end camera. It's kind of an entry-level mirrorless hybrid camera, so it does stills and video. Now this is one of the lower end parts of my entire gear collection. I have a few problems with it. Firstly, the screen doesn't flip around. Secondly, that screen isn't touchscreen. Thirdly, the SD card slot is in completely the wrong place, and I believe that is the worst part of this phone. And fourthly, the battery life is about as long as an iPhone 1 with iOS 13 on it. To fix that battery situation, I have a fake battery, a false battery that runs into my field monitor, which is then what I use to record because, well, the screen doesn't flip the right way, and to check focus I need to have something like a field monitor, which I have the FeelWorld F5. It's a pretty cool monitor. It doesn't have touchscreen, it isn't like a small HD, it's kind of, again, another entry level thing, but it works fairly well as long as you have a decent arm on it, because the stock monitor arm that comes with it is absolutely dreadful. The lenses I use are EF mount, which are comprised of a Sigma 18-35 f1.8, which is one of the most popular lenses on the planet at this point. I also have a Sigma Art 50 1.4 and 20 1.4, both of those 1.4 lenses are full frame as well. And for those lenses I use a Viltrox speed booster to give me basically full frame field of view on an APS-C camera. They're really useful. And then if I'm using an APS-C lens, all those lenses in APS-C mode, I'll use the Comlight adapter, which I have, which is fairly cheap, and that adapts the EF mount lenses to an E mount camera. Then for grip and stability and other things, I have this Ravelli tripod that I've had for the longest time. It's been in the sea, it's been in forests, it's been pretty much everywhere. It's old, it's very heavy, it's got an incredibly smooth fluid head on it. It's brilliant, it's just not necessarily very portable, and I've been using it for the longest time, and it's a great tripod. But recently I've been using this Benro tripod with a ball head, which I then upgraded to the Manfrotto 502 head, which is a super smooth fluid head. It's not, I wouldn't say it's quite as smooth as the Ravelli one, but it is, I guess, able to be put on a smaller and lighter tripod, so there's that to it. So yeah, it's definitely a really decent pair of tripods. If I had to pick one, I would pick the Benro travel tripod with that Manfrotto head, purely because I can take it around to more places. I then have a Tilta follow focus, a Nucleus Nano, which I use to control focus when I don't want to touch the lens and make it all kind of jittery, which is what I might do and might use on my gimbal, which is a DJI Ronin M. It's made for slightly bigger cameras. It's not necessarily perfect for the camera I have, but I got it cheap and it works okay. It's not perfect. I don't think gimbals are the answer because they are incredibly fiddly and you have to balance it every time, and it can leave some jitter if you don't have it properly programmed, which, I mean, with DJI's app is basically impossible because DJI's app doesn't work. Overall though, it's pretty solid and I use it for car stuff. I don't really use it for tech stuff because I don't need to, because I'm usually in my room. And talking of car stuff, I do recommend, as like a little ad, that you check out Flat 4K, which is another channel, like a sister channel to this, which is run by me and my friend Alex. We're going to be putting on some really cool content on there very, very soon over Christmas. So go and subscribe there. I believe at 1,000 subscribers we're giving away something. I can't remember what it was, but it would be super cool if you could do that. And I believe At around 500 subscribers, we will announce the giveaway. They always say you shouldn't skimp on your audio, and I haven't got the most extravagant setup, but I certainly haven't skimped on my audio. So I've got a Rode NTG 4 shotgun microphone, which I use with XLR connected to a Behringer UM2, which means I have to be near my laptop or a computer. I can't just plug straight into the camera, but that's fine for my workflow. It works just fine anyway. The audio quality is pretty damn good, and of course it's nice and compact, so you can travel with it. I then also have an AKG C214 microphone, which I use for voiceovers. It's an incredible microphone. It's not the C414, which is its bigger brother, which is like the better, more legendary option. This is more entry level, and it certainly reflects that in the price, but I think it's one of the nicest sounding microphones I've ever used. I then also have this Rode Filmmaker kit, which has a wireless kind of system, means you can connect it directly to the camera and you get like a wireless lav, which is super awesome, and I mainly really use it for car stuff. I don't really use it for tech stuff. They also say you shouldn't skimp on lighting, and I kind of have actually. So I've got a couple of newer kind of softboxes. They're LED softboxes. They have got fans in them, so they can be pretty loud, but they produce decent light. It's definitely not the nicest light in the world, but they are entry-level softboxes, and you know what? They do the job, and they fold up, which is really nice. I then have this Yonglo YN360, I believe it's called. It's kind of like an LED bar that can go RGB, and it can connect to your phone, and it's pretty useful for adding splashes of colour. Then I also have this Viltrox panel light, which I'm using less and less often actually these days, but it does mean I can get a nice splash of light again. But it is bi-colour, so it goes from, I believe, like 4,000 Kelvin up to 6,000 Kelvin. It's pretty useful, but it's not as useful as the light bar. The computer I use to edit pretty much every single one of my videos was made by me, as most people's computers are, built by themselves. I have a few problems with it. I do like the hardware that's in it. It's pretty good. It's not amazing. It's not brand new. It's not best in class, but it's perfect for what I kind of use it for. I could do with a little bit more RAM. And when it comes to the software, I use Premiere Pro and After Effects and Photoshop. And yeah, I don't use Final Cut or anything like that on the Mac side. I do hate using Windows 10, but it's something that I have to use. It's a necessary evil. And talking of Windows, on my laptop I have macOS because it's a MacBook Pro. It's a fairly high spec model from a few years ago, and it works just fine. I don't edit much on it, mainly because I don't need to, but when I am in a pinch and I do need to edit away from home, it is brilliant for that in Adobe programs, although I haven't tried Final Cut yet. Now, SD cards are another necessary evil. I absolutely hate them. They always break on me. They're very brittle, they're very plasticky, but I kind of have to use them. So I use these Lexar 128GB models. They're decent, they're alright, they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. They certainly have their problems, but they are better than the SanDisk and Kingston cards in terms of longevity and reliability from what I've seen. I also then use an external 500GB Samsung SSD and a few internal 1TB SSDs. Really old backup HDD thingy. It's like a NAS, but it was kind of built a long time ago. It doesn't work anymore, but if you guys want to see it resurrected, please leave a comment and I'll maybe do a video building that. The SSDs and hard drives in it work just fine, but the actual motherboard and CPU are so old and they just don't work anymore, so that might be something to consider. My camera bag isn't extremely extravagant. Again, I don't travel an awful lot, so I don't need something crazy. I just have this little baby camera bag that I fill up with all of the necessary things that I need and nothing extra. And I do have these two tubs filled with extra bits, and I tend to use rails when I'm inside the house so that I can connect up my follow focus and battery plates and things like that, that mean that I don't have to have it hanging off the camera. It can kind of sit there nice and steady. And that's about it for my camera gear. It's something, and computer gear. It's stuff that I've used and built up for a long time, as a lot of YouTubers say. Unfortunately, it's not something you can just go out and buy unless you've got loads of money. And yeah, it's cost me an awful lot of money, but again, this is my job. I am a freelancer, so I don't make money off my flat 4K stuff currently, although we're working on that. But I do get paid for this channel and Android Authority to make videos, so it is my job, so I am kind of reinvesting in myself. It's not amazing and it's not a super efficient setup. Like I could get away probably with a Panasonic G7 and a kit lens, but you know, this is kind of my hobby as well, so I really do enjoy what I do, which means I'm more likely to go out and spend money on video gear. Also, it's stuff that tends to hold its value pretty well. Video gear is one of those things that tends to hold its value. The camera body itself, maybe not so much, but lenses and tripods and follow focuses and gimbals tend to hold their value, and you can resell them for a decent amount. So if things do go wrong, I can at least make my money back from that. Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully the footage from this RX100 looks pretty decent, and hopefully the audio worked this time, because it didn't before and I wasted like 20 minutes recording. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons. You guys have been awesome. Also, please do like, dislike, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one, and also check out all the links to all the stuff that I featured in this video. I'll leave it all in the video description so you can go and check it out. It might not be super useful, but for some of you it might be a little bit useful, and that's important. Anyway guys, I'm glad that we're going back to 2 videos a week just over Christmas, and maybe drop back to 1 video a week. I'm going to be transparent, it's just because I really need the funds. As you can see, this thing cost me a lot of money, this stuff cost me a lot of money, and keeping it going is definitely helped by you guys. Anyway, I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.